Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and pranams. Thank you for joining in for our Ramayana study session today. Let's start with the prayers. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapatakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sujivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradhayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Dushe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwanu Devi Pranamami Hariye Mancha Kalpatharubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaiva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Taralaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yakripar Mande Shri Gurum Dinatarilam Paramanandamadhavam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mishwaram Hari Om Tatsat Aradhya Bhagavan Rajesha Tanaya Stadhama Vrindavanam Tamya Kachidupasana Vrajavadu Vargena Kalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanamavalam Prema Pumarto Mahan Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Matamidam Tatra Dhana Para. Hare Krishna. So we are starting with continuing with the study of Ramayana, where we saw the last week when we were studying, we saw how Kaikeyi, being influenced by mantra, actually asks Dashrath Maharaj for two boons. Right? What are those two boons? One is Bharat should become the king, and the second boon is Lord Ram should be banished to the forest for 14 years. And Dashrath Maharaj is trying to, say something to Kaikeyi, right? To tell her that, okay, it is okay that Bharat can rule, but why should Ram go to the forest, right? And that was carefully planned by mantra, because she knew that if Ram was around, nobody will accept anybody else as the king. So in that way, mantra had planned it, and Kaikeyi was executing the plan. And Dashrath Maharaj was trying his best to convince Kaikeyi that at least Ram did not go to the forest. But, we always also we spoke a lot about the power of association. Right? We should be very careful whom we hear from, whom we associate with, because that is going to influence our decisions, that is going to affect our behavior, that is going to affect our sadachar, right? Our behavior and our consciousness. So we need to be very careful whom we are associating with, right? So let's see ahead what Kaikeyi is doing. Kaikeyi is actually asking Dashrath of these two boons, and Dashrath Maharaj is so shocked that is it this Kaikeyi who loved Ram so much is asking for these boons, and he's trying to talk with Kaikeyi to see, if there can be anything that can be done to prevent Ram from going to the forest, like that. All right. So devotees would like to read, can raise your hands. Okay, Karpavali Mataji, go ahead. Dashratha could not imagine from there.
Hey Krishna, Dandatna Mataji. Am I audible, Mataji?
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, Mataji, you're audible. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Dasratha could not imagine how else his wife would behave in this way. She had never been harsh towards him before. He remembered the astrological omens. Surely his wife's strange request was the work of some malevolent influence. He spoke more gently. I have seen myself how Rama serves you even more than does your own son Bharata. Have you not always told me so yourself? How then have you become so decided to Rama's exile through the dreadful forest for a full 14 years? Let him remain here and let Bharata be king. What objection could you have to that? Kaikeyi did not waver. She had lost her trust in Dasratha and she seethed with anger. She was simply trying to win her over with empty words, but she was not going to be fooled anymore. She remembered Mantra's warning. The king was his beloved and his beloved Kausalya were not going to cheat her this time. She would get her boons no matter what Dasratha said. She sat in silence. Dasratha could not think clearly. Think clearly. He was torn by his love for Rama and his promise to his wife, so who had now seized him violently by the heart. Realizing that he could never order his son to enter the forest, Dasratha feared he would bring infamy to his royal line. No king in this line had ever been known to break his word at any time. Dasratha implored his wife, what will you gain by banishing Rama? He will always render you every service and remain entirely devoted to your welfare. I have never received a single complaint against Rama, even from his subordinates, let alone elders like you. Truthfulness, charity, asceticism, self control, kindness, non duplicity, learning, and service to his elders. All these are ever present in Rama, and how could you wish harm to that guileless prince? Dasratha could see that Kaikeyi was unmoved unmoved. Kaikeyi was unmoved. It was obvious her feelings towards Rama had changed. The king decided to try a different approach that he invoked his own love for her. Oh, Kaikeyi, you should show mercy to me in this my great misery. An old and worn man, I am fast approaching the end of my days. I have now been subjected to an unbearable grief in the shape of your harsh words. What do you wish to possess? I can offer you anything that may be had in all of this world. Only ask for your desire and consider it done. Joining my palms, I fall at your feet. Do not banish Rama. Accept my piteous plea and save my life. Kaikeyi looked coldly upon her husband. He had fallen weeping to the floor and was tossing about, gripped by an overwhelming agony. He prayed again and again for deliverance, but Kaikeyi felt no pity. With her heart hardened by my mantra and her intelligence, Mataji? Confused by the gods, she was fixed in her evil determination. Looking contemptuously at Dasratha, she spoke fiercely. After granting boons and failing to fulfill them, how will you again proclaim your pity in the world, O noble king? When in an assembly of sages you are asked about your promise, how will you reply? Will you admit that you have proved untruthful to your own dear wife, to whom you owe your very life, having once granted boons and having again sworn 3 times to fulfill those boons, will you now falsify your word? Kaikeyi was standing, her face flushed with anger. She felt cheated by her husband. She had promised her anything. Now he was trying to back out. This simply confirmed a doubt about his sincerity. He had no intention to giving her what she wanted. Her voice became cold. What honor will you bring to your life by this action, O King of Kings? Do you not recall the many occasions when your forebears were prepared to sacrifice everything, including their own lives, in order to protect the honor of your race? O foolish king, it seems that at the expense of anything you wish to install Rama as your successor and enjoy life with Kausalya eternally. Kaikeyi was furious. The king was prepared to sacrifice anything for the sake of Kausalya's son, but he cared so little for Kaikeyi that he could deny her rights even if it meant bringing infamy upon himself. She went on, her voice raising to a shout, whether your promise was righteous or otherwise, whether you had made it sincerely or not, it cannot now be withdrawn. If Rama is installed as prince, Regent, I shall swallow poison and give up my life before your eyes. I would prefer death to see Kausalya become the mother of the king. I swear by Bharata and my own self that I shall not be appeased by anything less than Rama's exile. The king's body trembled, consumed by grief. He gazed with unwinking eyes upon the face of his beautiful wife. He was stunned by her words, which struck him with the force of thunderbolt. He suddenly dropped to the ground like a fallen tree, calling out Rama's name. Like one insane, he lost his mental balance and lay motionless on the cold floor for a considerable time. Gradually, gathering his senses about him, the king stood up and spoke in a choked and anguished voice. I cannot believe you are now speaking on your mind. Who has perverted you towards his evil course, as if possessed by some demon, to speak shamelessly that which would never been spoken? What has inspired you this great yet groundless fear? Why are you suddenly saying Rama as your enemy, uttering such cruel words? What do you accept to gain
Expect.
by expect them? What do you expect to gain? What do you expect to gain by Bharata's becoming my successor instead of Rama? I expect that Bharata, whose virtues compare with those of Rama, will not even reside in Ayodhya without Rama, far less accept the throne. The king had so
Hare
many
Krishna.
times. Thank you, Mother. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So
Hare Krishna.
Dashrath Maharaj actually knows the heart of Bharata also, looks like, right? Because that's exactly what's going to happen. That Bharata would not accept the throne, but he would not even want to stay in Ayodhya, right? He would say that he will also go and stay in the outskirts. He would keep the lotus paduka of Lord Rama in the throne, and that's how he administers the kingdom on behalf of Lord Ram. And he tells Lord Ram, at the end of the 14 years, if you don't come and claim your kingdom, then I will die. Right? The 14 years, Lord Ram was going on an exile to the forest, and Bharat was also on an exile because he was not ruling as the king. He was only, and in fact, Rama's position was that at least people around him were all yearning for him to come back. They were all blessing him. They were all waiting for him to come back. But Bharata's position was even more bad. Although Bharata had not done anything, everybody was thinking Bharat is the reason for Lord Ram to go on this exile. So he had to live surrounded by people who were having this kind of a wrong notion about him, and yet he was serving Lord Ram completely without any desire for self enjoyment, right? Or for his own enjoyment, not now, not in the future also. He was ruling, but he was ruling on behalf of Lord Ram, and he himself was staying in such austere conditions. And in this way, he was serving Lord Ram, and he was serving on behalf of Lord Ram. He was ruling Ayodhya, and he was saying at the end of the 14 years, he would be at the end of the 14 years, he would be giving over the kingdom to Lord Ram. So this was his mode of service. Bharat was serving Lord Ram, and at least Lakshmana had the association of Lord Ram in the forest, right? But Bharat was alone. Bharat did not have the cooperation of all the people also, because they were thinking Bharat is the reason for Lord Ram's exile, and Bharat was against his mother also, right? He told her that I will not call myself your son because of the deeds that you have done. So he did not have his mother on his side, did not have the people on his side. Right? Ram is also left with Lakshmana to the forest. Right? It was only Shatrughna who was actually staying, and he was assisting Bharat. Right? So in this way, we see here how the association is completely transformed. Right? Lava matra sadhu sangha sarva siddhi hoya. Right? The greatest of the siddhi can be obtained by proper association, and the greatest of misfortune also can be obtained by associating with those who have their own sense gratification in mind, who are envious of others, who are not accepting, that Ishavasya idam sarvam yat kintu jagatyam jagat. Right? The Lord has given everyone according to their what they should get, according to their past karmas, according to their past desires. So it is futile to actually want to want to usurp others' property or to even feel envious. It's all waste of time, and it is only going to land us in a greater downfall than where we already are. So an intelligent person should accept everything, whatever has been given to the Lord, given by the Lord. Try to utilize it in the service of the Lord. Try to utilize it in a way that one can go back to a better destination. If not, go back home, back to Godhead. At least we should go to a destination where we can progress on the path of devotional service and ultimately go back home, back to Godhead. Right? So Dashratha is so shocked. Is it the same Kaikeyi who used to love Lord Ram so much? Is it the same Kaikeyi who's causing so much of, who's wishing so much of ill fortune and curse for Lord Ram that she wants to send him to the forest for 14 long years? Dashratha is shocked but helpless. He doesn't know what to do. So let's see what happens next. Sridhar Prabhu, please go ahead. And then Madhu Manjari Mataji and then Deval Mataji. Yes, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam Mataji. The king had so many times seen the Bharata serving Rama with love. There was no question that Bharata would accept the kingdom, leaving Rama aside. What had made Kaigeyi imagine this to be possible? Could it be a hand of gods? But what purpose of there would be achieved by denying Rama the rulership of the world? And even if Bharata should be the king, why should Rama be exiled for 14 years? It was unlikable. Dasra spoke about his thoughts. Having said to Ram, go to the forest, how shall I took upon this the crestfallen face, which will 1 minute, which will exactly resemble the eclipsed moon. So surely the king assembled from every quarter will say, how has this foolish man ruled the world at this while? When asked by wise the learned man about Rama, how shall I say that I send him away to the forest, being pressed by Kaigeyi? If I say I am supporting the cause of truth, then what about my declaration that Rama would be installed by his successor? Dasaratha fell back on the couch. His arms were outstretched towards Kaigeyi, who had again fallen to the floor on hearing her husband's arguments. The king waited agony. What reply can I make Kaushalya when she asked why I rendered her such an unkind act? I have always neglected that godly lady in favor of you. Remembering my act now gives me truth a great pain. Dasratha mentioned Kaushalya only made Kaigeyi more furious. What a blatant untruth. How did he accept her to believe that she was moreover favored than Kaushalya? In this depression, the king was ready to say anything. Kaigeyi started at her husband, her eyes red with anger. The king continued, Mataji, the king continued to speak his passionate words, lost on his. Mataji, kindly scroll me.
One second. Somebody is annotating. I'm just trying to remove that. 1 second.
Okay.
I think somebody's phone is, they are just doing. Okay. I don't know how to do this. Just 1 second. Okay. Yes. Go ahead, Prabhu.
The king continued to speak the passionate words, lost at his implacable king, seeing Rama departed for the forest and Sita weeping. I shall soon lose my life. You may then carry on all the affairs of the state along with your son as undisputed ruler. I have always seen you as my devoted and chaste wife. That was my mistake. Investigated by your empty inducement. I have long held your close. Now you have finally killed me. Even in a hunter kills a deer after enriching it in a melodious music. Dashratha saw the Kaigeyi was not to be swayed from my purpose. He anxiously intensified in his anger and confusion. He began to blame himself. Surely the whole world would condemn him for sacrificing his sinless son for the sake of a sinful woman. This tremble turn of events could only be the result of his own wicked act in some previous life. He sat on his head of his hand, crying softly as he spoke. I damned only Hare Krishna. Dandot Pranam Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So tattenu susanikshmano Gunjana evatmakritam vipakam Hridvadvapurvir vidada namaste Jivetaye mukti pade sadaya bhak. Right? Actually, this beautiful verse actually sums up what is the consciousness of a devotee even when a devotee is undergoing trials and tribulations. Tatte anukampam, right? Even in this situation, a devotee sees the merciful nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anukampa means mercy, merciful nature. How can we see a situation which is causing us misery to be the mercy of the Lord? Tatte anukampam susamikshamano bhunjana evatma kritam vipakam. That because a devotee understands that this particular situation is being caused to me, or I am undergoing this particular situation because of my past misdeeds, because of my past karma. But because I'm a devotee of the Lord has taken care of me, and mercifully the Lord has reduced the bad reactions that I should get. Right? If I should get a mountainous level of reactions, bad reactions, the Lord has actually made it into a a molehill. Right? So, like that, a devotee always considers every situation, whether of distress, whether of misfortune, whether of being let down, or any miserable situation. The devotee considers it as the mercy of the Lord, because the devotee thinks that I should have been in an even worse situation. But with the causeless mercy of Guru and Gauranga, that 100% of trouble has been reduced to a 0.0001% trouble. Why? Because simply for my purification. If I go through this, then tattenu kampam susimikshamano bhunjana evatma kritam vipakam hridvad vapurbir vidada namaste. He offers obeisances to the Lord even in that situation of misfortune, even in that situation of suffering. Right? Jiveta ye mukti padesa dayabak. That mukti, which is the goal of so many people, majority of the people who understand the scriptures, their goal is mukti. That means they want to get out of this situation of sense gratification, and they want to attain, they want to transcend the three modes of material nature and attain peace. They want to get out of the sufferings of the three modes of material nature, the adhyatmic klesha, the adhibautik klesha, and the adhyatmic, adhibautik, and adhidevik klesha. All these three kleshas, they want to get out of it. They want to get out of birth, death, disease, and old age, right? But if they're able to get out of that, then they consider themselves fortunate. That is mukti. Right? Actual definition of mukti is mukti itvan yatharupam swarupena vyavasthiti. Actual mukti is to be engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord. But those people who are not much learned, or those who don't follow a proper bona fide parampara, they misunderstand mukti to be just free from material miseries. That's what they call liberation. Liberate oneself from material miseries. But even if one gets liberated from material miseries, one does not get happiness. One gets into the zero axis. No happiness, no distress. No pain, no no happiness, no pain, no relief. No, I mean, there is no happiness also there, right? There is no pain also, but there is no happiness also. There is no, suffering. There is no lamentation, but then there is no happiness, right? So, any Jivera Surupe, Krishna and Nityadas, right? And what is this? The Lord is eternally Ananda, and we are parts and parcels of that Lord. We also want to be happy. We are not simply satisfied with being peaceful, right? A peaceful life, like the other day somebody was explaining an ECG. When you take an ECG, it is ups and downs, right? When does the ECG become a straight line? When a person dies, right? So at that level, does not experience any emotions, and a jiva who is living, right? A soul is always living, right? A soul can never stay in this dead situation, because the soul is always anandamaya abhyasat. The soul is always trying to become happy, because the soul is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, who's eternally happy, isn't it? So that kind of a peaceful situation cannot be sustained for long. Maybe for some time we feel, oh, I'm not getting any distress, I'm happy, right? That is what is perceived as happiness. That peace is perceived as happiness, but it cannot last for long. Why it cannot last for long? Because that is not the nature of the soul. The nature of the soul is not to remain dormant like that, sit down like that. That's why we can't do meditation. We can't sit in one place. Our mind is running here and there. Where can I get happiness? If I watch this TV serial, will I get happiness? If I watch this cricket match, will I get happiness? If I read this storybook, will I get happiness? Right? They're always seeking for happiness. And that happiness is always elusive. Why? Because Jivera Surupe Krishna and Nityadas, our eternal happiness can only be obtained when we are serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? That is why a devotee, even in a miserable situation, thinks that I'm undergoing this situation because of my past karma. But if I continue to surrender to the Lord and engage in devotional service, the Lord will have a better plan for me. My plans are not working. But the Lord, by his own causeless mercy, will give a plan that will be much better. That because the Lord knows everything, I don't know anything, right? The Lord's plans are always better. Even if I'm undergoing suffering, it is for my purification, and it is by the permission of the Lord. Hence, it will be good for me. That is the mood of a devotee, and that is what Dashrath Maharaj also is thinking here, right? He is helpless. He does not understand how does Kaikeyi has changed colors like this, but he thinks it is definitely because of my past misdeeds. That's why Dashrath Maharaj is not able to tolerate the situation. He's going to die. But even in that condition, he thinks it is my fault. He does not blame the Lord. Why does Lord has put me into such a situation? Okay, Madhu Manjari Mataji, go ahead. I lament only for the sake of those from there.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Mataji, last week only we did this Ramayana part, Ki Kaikai and Bharat Milap, Ram Bharat Milap, and I was doing the role of Kaikai, and this whole thing is like I'm feeling that I'm doing the role again. Amazing it is. Thank you, Mataji, for this. Hare Krishna. I lament only for the sake of those who will suffer for my sake when I perform the evil act of exiling Ram. For having deprived a son like Ram of fatherly affection, all honest men will rightly revile me in the following words. Alas, this old and foolish king, being bound by lust for his favorite queen, could even reject his dearest son, unable to unable to contain his grief. Dashrath lamented loudly for a long time, censuring Kaikai and calling upon her to have compassion on her fellow queens, on Sita, and on the citizens of Ayodhya. He tried in many ways to change her mind. Kaikai remained adamant. The king then began to realize the inevitability of Rama's departure. He spoke to his wife in complete dismay. The very moment I ask Ram to depart, he will leave, being fully obedient to my order. I shall then be left cast into the deepest despair with my life's breath quickly expiring. Upon reaching heaven, I shall be censured even by the gods for my vicious behavior. You too will earn an ending infamy, O lady of wicked resolve. None shall praise you for causing the virtuous and highly popular Ram to be sent into the wilderness. Dashrath practically writhed in pain as he thought of Ram leaving for the forest. The gentle prince was accustomed to ride upon the finest chariots and elephants. How would he roam the forest on foot? Every day Ram was served by numerous royal cooks competing to offer him every fine dish. How could he submit? How could he subsist on wild fruits and roots? How could how could his son put on the coarse garments of the forest dwellers, having always been clad in the costliest of robes? The emperor, devastated, shook with grief. He felt his life slipping away, gazing at Kaikai, who he saw as his mortal enemy. Dashrath said, "O wicked woman, it is a wonder that on speaking such cruel and vicious words, your teeth do not shatter into 1,000 pieces and fall into your mouth. When Ram goes to forest, death will surely take me. I will be condemned by all men. Kaushalya and Sumitra will then be cast into abject sorrow and will likely follow me to death's abode. Having inflicted such miseries upon us and having been left alone with your son to rule over this world, what other indescribable pains will you give to the remaining people who are also loved by me?
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Although
Mataji. Hare
Krishna,
Krishna. So we see here that Dasharath is feeling so helpless, right? Somehow or the other, he wants Kaikeyi to change her mind. If not about Bharat becoming the king, but somehow or the other, at least Ram need not be sent to the forest. That much, at least, if Kaikeyi can budge, then Dasharath Maharaj was, trying all his ways, of coercing, persuading, scolding, yelling, shouting. But Kaikeyi is Kaikeyi, the damage has been done, right? Because of mantras association. And now Kaikeyi will not budge. Let's see what happens next. Okay, let me share my screen again. And then who's reading now? Yeah, Deval Mataji. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhamma Pranam. Although Dashratha had no intentions of asking Rama to leave, he knew his devoted son would depart immediately upon realizing his father's predicament. The king tried one last desperate plea to Kaikeyi. Even if upon my failing to exile my son, you are ready to swallow poison, throw yourself into a fire, or hang yourself, I shall by no means banish Ram. You have disgraced your family and are intent upon destroying mine. I shall never accede to your ruthless request. O malicious queen, abandon your evil desire. I fall helpless at your feet. Come to your senses and be gracious to me, who has always been your well-wishing protector. Exhausted by grief, Dashratha sank to the floor like a man gripped by an illness, his hands stretched out to the feet of his queen. The unflinching Kaikai, who had given up all affection for her husband, saw that her ends were still not achieved. Convinced by a mantra of the king's ill intentions towards her, with her intelligence further confused by the gods, Kaikai could not accept Dashratha's entreaties. In a disdainful and harsh voice, she addressed the fallen monarch. Where now is your honor, O king? Your claim that you adhere to truth is simply an empty boast. Are you to withdraw the boons previously promised to me, and further sworn on this very spot, fulfill my boons as you vowed, and protect your far-reaching fame? Dashrata, unconscious, could not reply. After some time, he revived and looked upon his queen. Just a moment, Mataji. Yeah. After some time, he revived and looked upon his queen's face. From her cold expressions, it was obvious that she was not in the least assuaged. The grief-stricken monarch gazed up at the clear night sky. He prayed to Nidra, the night goddess, to stay forever. How could he face the dawn, bringing as it would Rama's departure? Dashrata sat weeping, continuously repeating Rama's name. Kaikai spoke impassively. I have only asked you to fulfill your promise to me, O king. Why then do you now lie down, rejected? The path of morality has been clearly shown by your ancestors. Proceed upon that path now, O truthful one, and send Ram away. The educated Kaikai, knowing her husband to be devoted to religion and piety, invoked the codes of morality. Those men who understand right from wrong declare truthfulness as the highest virtue. I simply urge you to act upon truthfulness alone. O king, and do your duty. Truth is the support of all the worlds. The eternal Vedas represent truth. Virtue itself is rooted in truth, and truth sustains all beings. By following truth, one attains the supreme. Therefore, set your mind on truth, O king, and grant my prayer. Banish Rama to the forest. Kaikai stood up amid her. Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you.
So now Kaikeyi is speaking in such a way that this was her long-lasting desire. It was her own desire. See, this is the what do you call? This is the tricks of the mind, right? So first and foremost, she was so much in love and affection for Lord Ram, but she got her mind got changed because of the ill influence of mantra. But now, as she was demanding this, first she was totally against mantra, even saying that, and she had given the jewel of the necklace to mantra for giving the good news that Rama is going to become the prince regent, right? Up to from that point, within a few hours of conversation, now she is telling Dashrath Maharaj that if you don't fulfill your promise, then what will happen to your name, fame, glory, right? You should be truthful, you should be true to your word, etc. Right? As if this is something that she's believed all life long, right? Just that until the previous day or until few hours back, she was so convinced that Rama could be the next king, and what is truthfulness? So it is just relative truth. Nothing is truth in this world, right? Everything is relative. When we put a red glass, we see that red is the truth. When we put a green glass, we see green. So the only absolute truth, which does not change according to time, place, circumstances, is that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead to engage in the service of the Lord. Otherwise, everything else is relative truth. What might be good for me, may not be truth for another person, right? What I see or what I perceive as truth may not be truth or perceived as truth by another person, right? So there is nothing as truth for eternity and for all people except the spiritual truth, which is always eternal and is applicable to all. Otherwise, other truths are all related, are all relative. It might be truth for me, whereas the other person may think that no, this is only the truth. And that's why there are conflicts in this world, that everybody thinks that I am right and I am truthful. Yeah? Okay, let's go ahead. Kaikeyi stood up amid her strewn ornaments. Okay, who's reading now? Subara Prabhu, go ahead, and then Sudha Mataji. And then we'll end in about 5 minutes. Yeah, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yes. Kaikeyi stood up.
From where Mataji? Kaikeyi.
Stood up, yeah.
Kaikeyi stood up amid her strewn ornaments. Her eyes flashed as she made her final demand to the king. 3 times you promised, and therefore 3 times I ask you. Fulfill my wish to see my son installed on the throne and send Rama away to the woods. This alone will satisfy me and save me from giving up my life after seeing you abandon your honor. As the unscrupulous Kaikeyi maintained her pressure on him, Dasaratha could see no means to escape from his avowed word. With great difficulty, he controlled himself, drawing upon his reserve of fortitude. His heart burned with unbearable anguish as he looked through uh, tear-dimmed eyes at Kaikeyi. How could he any longer consider her his wife? She was fit to be rejected. Her name should never again be associated with him. No one should call her the queen of Dasaratha. The king spoke fiercely. O perverted woman, here and now do I disown your hand, which I formally clasped in the presence of the sacred fire and with the utterances of holy mantras. Now the night has passed, and soon the people will joyfully urge me to install Rama. However, as at your insistence, I shall this day surely breathe my last. Rama should be made to offer the last rites to my departed soul. O women of evil conduct, you should make no offerings to me, for I fully reject you today. Kaikeyi fumed. What use were these empty words? Her husband had already rejected her when he favored Kausalya. She addressed the king in piercing words. Why do you say such scathing and hurtful things? O monarch, I merely ask that you give me what you have already promised. Summon now your son Rama and give up this needless agonizing. Do your duty and stand fast to virtue. Like a first class horse lashed with a whip, Dasaratha controlled his mind and righteously responded to Kaikeyi's words, bound with the strong words of morality. I am helpless. My judgment fails me. And is this evil hour? I seek the refuge of Rama. Bring my gentle son before me. The king fainted away, exhausted with grief and his futile efforts to change his wife's mind. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Sudha Mataji, you can go ahead. Chapter 7. So Kaikeyi is very adamant, and Dashrath Maharaj is not able to change her mind. So finally calls for Lord Ram. And Lord Ram comes. What does he do? He agrees to depart. But Dashrath Maharaj is not able to take it. Right? Go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Chapter 7. Rama agrees to depart. Towards the end of night, Vashishta, accompanied by numerous disciples, hastily entered Ayodhya from his hermitage outside the city. He went along the well-swept and watered streets, all thronging with citizens, eagerly awaiting Rama's installation. Crossing the outer courtyard of the king's palace, which was decorated all over with rows of flags, he approached Dashratha's inner chambers. The rishi saw the courtyard crowded with large number of Brahmins reciting sacred hymns from the Vedas. Upon reaching the palace gate, he was met by Sumantra, who prostrated himself before the sage and then immediately left to inform Dashratha of his arrival. As he passed through the palace and approached the inner chambers, Sumantra was entirely ignorant of his master's present plight. He composed in his mind pleasing prayers with which to greet the king, who was dearer to him than his own father. The guards informed Sumantra that the king was in Kaikeyi's chamber, and as he arrived at her door, he began to loudly recite those prayers. Even as the sun, which sustains all beings, arouses the world Arise now, O Emperor, like the sun rising from the eastern hills, as Matali, the minister of Indra, extolled his master, who then rose up and conquered the demons. So do I now extol you to rise up and do your duty. O Lord, all of us await you with joined palms. The glorious sage Vasishta has arrived with other sages and stands ready to perform the sacred installation ceremony of Rama. Order us now to proceed, O mighty monarch. Hearing
Hare
Sumantra
Krishna.
speaking, thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam. So this is very, the king, generally the kings are also woken up with choicest poetry, just like the Lord is woken up, right? What is that? कौशल्या सुप्रजा राम पूर्वा संध्या प्रवर्तते उत्तिष्ठ
उत्तिष्ठ
नरसा.
शूला कर्तव्यं दैवमान्यकम्.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I was hearing double voice. Okay. Trilokyam Mangalam Guru, right? That means, oh Lord, please wake up, right? Kaushalya, Supraja, Rama Purva. That means, oh Kaushalya's son, please wake up. It is, the auspicious time when you wake up, when the Lord wakes up, or when we wake up the deities at home. That means auspiciousness prevails at home. So this is how they wake up the Lord. So similarly, we see that the King Dasharatha is also, woken up by choicest poetry by his own charioteer Sumantra. But he does not know that Kaushalya is in Kaiki's chamber. But what has happened inside? Sumantra is completely clueless. So tomorrow we'll continue this reading. Now, what happens when Dasharatha hears Sumantra's voice of glorification? When he wakes up, again he gets reminded, right? He is unconscious. Now he's fallen down, right? He's called for, now Vasishta Muni has come and Sumantra has come to give him this news, right? When again he comes back to consciousness, he will again be overwhelmed with sorrow. And then, what happens later? We all know the past time, but we'll see how beautifully Krishna Dharma Prabhu has written this most auspicious pastime of Sitaram in this glorious Ramayana pastimes. So we'll continue reading tomorrow. Raghupati Raghav Raja Ram Patita Pavan Sitaram. Raghupati Raghav Raja Ram Patita Pavan Sitaram. Sitaram Jaya Sitaram. Sitaram Jaya Sitaram. रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम. रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित
पावन
राम. जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय गौरनिताय. Hare Krishna. Okay, fine. All the time I was not audible. I was singing Raghupati Raghav Raja Ram Patita Pavan Sita Ram Sita Ram Jaya Sita Ram Sita Ram Jaya Sita Ram Jai Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hare Krishna. Because I was hearing some sound, I muted. Then I myself got muted, I guess. All right. So, so I was saying we'll meet tomorrow morning at 4:30 a.m. for our Brahma Muhurta chanting session, and then at 11 o'clock we will meet for our continuation of the study of Ramayana, wherein we are seeing how is it that Dashrath Maharaj is going to tell Lord Ram himself that he needs to go to the forest. So that's all. We continue tomorrow. So please do join us at 11 o'clock tomorrow for our Ramayana study session. Also, my sincere gratitude to all the devotees for your prayers and blessings for Daita. So she topped her school. She got about 97.6%. And during her exams also, we all had all the devotees nicely pray for her. So it is a causeless mercy and blessings of Guru Gaurang and all the Vaishnavas. So my sincere gratitude to all of you. Mancha kalpatarubhyascha kripasintu bhyevacha. Patitanam pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So please continue to bless her so that she may do all her activities for the pleasure of Guru and Gauranga and continue to please Guru Gauranga and all the Vaishnavas. Thank you very much. Grantraj Shri Ramayana ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Srila Gurudev ki jai. Anant Koti Vaishnava Vrind ki jai. Dai Gaura Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Thank you, devotees.